And welcome to another episode of the Horny Football Podcast. This week, we're going to have the reactions to the Champions League draw. We're also going to be looking forward to the transfer deadline day. And we're just going to touch on the action from last weekend and look forward to this weekend's Premier League action. So first up, lads, Champions League. Group A, Bayern Munich, Manchester United, FC Copenhagen and Galatasaray. Oisin, we'll start with you.
I think, truthfully, if this was Bayern Munich last year before Tuchel, I would have been a lot more worried than I am now. That's the truth of it. I have no faith in Tuchel as a manager. I'm not that much worried. Bayern away, hard game. Bayern at home, really not too worried. Galatasaray, out of the pot four, I have to admit that's one I would have liked to avoid. But look, a homecoming for Fred, albeit only a few months since his transfer, and Copenhagen, Rasmus Højlund is going to be coming up against two of his younger brothers. That's going to be an interesting affair. So, look, it's not an easy group, but it's not the hardest, and I absolutely can see United top in that group.
Adam, where do you think United are going to end up in the Champions League?
Look, I don't care where they come as long as they qualify. I mean, Bayern, you're getting a tough game in Germany. Like, obviously, no one wants to go to Bayern. Personally, I wanted Bayern. I said to you earlier, I wanted Bayern. Like, it's a team you want to play. You want the big nights in the Champions League. Like, Galatasaray, like, they have the boys you discussed. They have Juan Mata, they have Dries Mertens. Like, they have these random players. Like, and United always find a way to just mess it up. Especially, like, last time we had a handy group with a team from Turkey, we bottled it horrifically. And Copenhagen they don't have a bad team. Like, you won't want to go to Denmark either. Like, aside from Højlund's two brothers, they have Ronnie. I can't pronounce his second name. What's his name?
Yeah.
Let's call him Ronnie.
Yeah.
He's a good little talent. But I think in Manchester, I think we should be able to just dispatch of all three teams. I think Bayern we should be beating because outside, like, they have a good team, but I think Tuchel is just. I think by the time we'll be playing them, I think maybe the first round of games we'll find tough. I think maybe the second game, but I think once it gets into the last three games, we've hit our stride, we've players coming back from injury and stuff. I think we'll probably see it through handy enough.
Group B, Sevilla, Arsenal, PSV and Lens. Now, for me, I was expecting a really tough draw. Like, for a second, I did think we got Bayern, and I was like, oh boy, here we go again. But lucky enough, we got Sevilla, who, yeah, as everyone knows, like, they're pretty much the kings of Europa League, I would say. But they never really seem to do it in the Champions League. They always seem to I don't know. They always seem to fall short in that group stage and then just fall straight back to Europa League and then go well from there. So I think obviously Sevilla will be a very, very tough game for Arsenal. PSV away will be tough. Obviously, we've seen Arsenal play at PSV in the Europa League last year, and I think we lost 2-0. It was a tough game, but we have a different squad now. I think we have a better squad. And then Lens, Lens did very, very well, obviously, in France last year. I think they'd be a very, very tough team, especially at home. They'll be a tough team. But I think Arsenal at home should be beating all these teams. 100% should be beating all these teams. They should be winning this group. And then, I don't know, go from there. I think I would hope we could get semi-final at least in the Champions League.
I think you'll definitely, unless you do a similar aspect of bottling the league and bottle the group, I can't see you not winning that group. I struggle. Like, Sevilla, exactly as you said, whatever about the Europa League, they just don't show up in the Champions League. Yeah. So I would nearly put my money on them going down to Europa League. Again, that's how confident I am that they'll mess it up. So I would think if you don't do it by the fourth game, definitely the fifth game, top that group.
Yeah.
If you'd asked me 2 months ago what I would have thought of Lens in the Champions League, I would have been a bit worried. But their striker, Opende, went to Leipzig, if I'm being corrected, and he was one of the top scorers in League One last year. I think without him, they'll struggle. I can't see them going far now. I think they'll struggle. I think Arsenal. The thing with the Champions League, though, like, there's looking at the group now, like, there is a severe lack of quality compared to other years.
Yeah, I was looking at that for during the live draw earlier on today. Like, there is a bit of a lack of quality. There's probably 8 very good teams in the Champions League.
And with the Champions League, as we've seen with Inter Milan last year, you can handily find your way into a final very easily if things go right. And I mean, you could get a few shocks along the way, and before you know it, you're in a semi-final against the likes of Benfica or someone like that. And then in a 90-minute game, anyone can beat anyone in Europe. So look, from the United perspective, depending on how the draw goes, look, if you get to the round of 16 and you meet the likes of Real Madrid or people like that, obviously you can't be as disappointed if you go out. But if you're getting an easy draw, semi-finals I would like.
As long as you, like you were saying, like about you want to play the big teams, you know, like for me anyways, I know if Arsenal came up against, you know, one of the powerhouses, you know, like a Bayern or a Real Madrid, then I would be, I wouldn't be disappointed to lose as long as you give a good account of yourself. You know what I mean? Like as long as you can put it up. Like, you know, Arsenal haven't been in the Champions League for like 7 years now, I think it is. And, you know, obviously we all know what happened with Bayern the last time we were there, the last couple of times we were there. So if we were to meet, you know, a team like, I would love to meet them in a knockout setting again, just so we can see how far we've come. Like, you do want to play the good teams, but as long as you're putting up to these teams, then you can be proud of your efforts, stuff like that. Like, I wouldn't, you know, if we were to meet a big team and they get battered, you know, another 5, 6, 7-0 on aggregate or something like that, then yeah, you'd be upset. You'd be like, you know, what's the point? Like, why aren't we building to compete? Like, you know, I'm not talking about Arsenal winning the Champions League anytime soon, of course not. But like, there's no reason why Arsenal, who pushed Man City all the way last year in the league, can't be getting to a semi-final. 100%.
Yeah, well, look, like when you're building the teams, like everyone, like winning the league is great, but you want to win the Champions League. You want to be the Champions League winners. Like the way I see it, anyway, the stranglehold that City has in the league. You like the Champions League. United haven't won it in 14 years. Like it'd be really nice to actually see them winning it, like grown up now instead of like it'd be nice to see them win it again. I'd love to win the league more than the Champions League, but
I would too. I know we're going back on United a bit there, Schmidt. Talking about Arsenal.
Look, if the Champions League came calling, I'd be a happy man, but sure, look.
Yeah, good
for a week.
Just moving on to Newcastle. Paris Saint-Germain, Borussia Dortmund, AC Milan, Newcastle.
I mean, if you could have picked a worse group,
that's it.
It's.
Before we get into that now, I just wanted to, like, if you were a Newcastle fan, would you not want to play the best teams? Like, you haven't been in this league.
Yeah, but you would within reason. Like, it's different playing at the knockout stages, going to Barcelona, going to the Bernabeu, going to whatever over to Italy or any of those. But to play those like 3 big clubs in the group stage, like that's it's 3 stadiums, big stadiums. That's fine, but they're 3 big teams. That's not even just that. Like Newcastle, if they don't listen, I think Newcastle will do okay, but PSG. Mbappe versus Byrne, as Adam, you said it in the group chat earlier on, like such a scarily mismatch.
Mbappe, Ousmane Dembele versus Dan Byrne.
Shouldn't
be televised for a television
audience. That though, last week, I think it was you, Adam, who said these European teams coming to St James's Park on a Tuesday, Wednesday afternoon.
They will always hit them,
right? Like PSG and PSG, a couple of years ago, they're an average team. Like they walk in France every year, but once they hit Europe, they kind of never perform.
I actually think PSG, the way they're building now, I think their best chance of winning the Champions League is just around the corner.
I think so too.
For superstars anymore, they're starting to build a good structured team.
Yeah.
Polo Moani, I think they're going to. But then, if you're coming like St James's Park is not easy to go, and like these European teams don't understand, and like PSG's midfield, like Tonali has to go back as well, and I think AC Milan qualify from that group with.
I think so.
Who did I say AC Milan were linked with the other day? They've signed a good few players now. with the Tonali money. I think they'll do okay. Now, saying that, I have said this multiple times. I do think Newcastle win the Europa League, and I think this group is furthering. But then again, are Dortmund last place? Like, I don't know.
But
I don't know.
Dortmund as well. I think with Dortmund, they're not the world beaters they were from a couple of years ago as well. I think Bayern were terrible last year, so that's how they got as close as they did to the league title. But in the end, they didn't win it. They lost on the last day, which is a bigger bottler job than Arsenal, in my opinion, anyways.
Yeah, true.
Like I think in St James's Park, Newcastle give a lot of these teams a good run. I can see them probably winning 2 of the games at James's Park. Maybe the Milan game would be a bit too much for them, or PSG, but I think they'll beat Dortmund at home 100%. And then if they can grab another, if they can beat PSG or Milan, they'll be in good shape. Then you have to go away, right? You have to go away and then replicate the same performances. But
well, with a group like that, though, if you can win 2, draw 1, I think you're grand. 7 points in the Champions League group is usually your go-to points amount. So I think if they can get to the 7 mark, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah.
I personally think that you're severely underestimating Dortmund in Europe. They've just signed Fulkirk from Werder Bremen, and he was one of the top scorers in the Bundesliga last year. I get what you're saying. Bayern were bad, but nonetheless, Dortmund nearly pipped them. They have a good squad. I think it wouldn't surprise me if it was actually AC Milan that struggled to get out that group. I understand what you're saying, Schmad, with the same players they've signed, but I think we're severely underestimating Dortmund in this group. Like, it wouldn't surprise me if they top the group, and I'm not joking there. I think that's like they're you go to the Dortmund Stadium, that yellow wall for any team is an intimidating structure. A European night, like whatever about St James's Park, the return fixture for them, they won't know what hits them. They won't know what hit them.
That's very true, yeah.
So it's definitely the group of death, but like my money will be Dortmund and PSG getting out of that group.
Moving on to Group G: Man City, Leipzig, Red Star Belgrade, and Young Boys.
Like if they're not getting, like, surely that has to be investigated too for all their 151 like that, or 15. That is, like, there's no way there's something not dodgy there. I know it's easy for me to say as United supporter.
All the tough teams that were in pods 2 and 3 and 4.
And City got that.
Like Leipzig, they battered Leipzig 6. Was it 5 or 6-0?
5-0.
No, it was more than that, because Salah scored 5 goals.
5 or something like that. I think it was that.
Maybe. Well, whatever it was.
I know.
Like, no disrespect to the teams, but come on, make it.
All I'm saying, if I said what I really thought about this now, we'd be here for hours. But I supported RB Leipzig, and I seen us drawn to City for what feels like the 15th year in a row. I think I'd really start reconsidering a better sport to watch, because honestly, I'd be sick of it.
Yeah, it's
a disgrace.
It's such like there's no, like, I'm pretty sure City had an easy group last year too.
How is Dortmund, Milan, and Newcastle in one group with PSG?
Yeah, like, obviously you can't get Newcastle, but like.
Well, be that as it may, the points to the stand. Who else have they got? Young Boys as well, and who was the other one?
Red Star Belgrade.
They're going absolutely heat. They might not even turn up.
Red Star Belgrade have won more Champions Leagues than Arsenal.
Emotional, damn it!
To remember here.
Yeah, well, in the 1921s, Schmad, like,
they were in the 80s or the 90s.
Now, who cares? That's like, it's like they're like, no disrespect. It's such a like they literally, they will literally play their B team for all 6 of those games.
Red Star Belgrade, teams have struggled there. Liverpool lost in Belgrade there a few seasons ago.
But Liverpool weren't the team that City are now.
Like, them Serbian crowds, like, they'll kill you on the pitch.
All right, moving on. Who do you think's going to win it? Roisin.
Arsenal.
It's bad.
I think Real Madrid will win it.
Real Madrid. I would like to see Madrid win it again, but it's hard to look past City. I think once they get to the business end and all their players come back, like De Bruyne comes back and a couple of others, I think they'll be in a good spot. So I think, although
I would love to see Napoli do it. I would love to see Napoli do it.
Yeah.
Let's see.
It's just really hard to know. Like I don't think Bayern have the squad for it. I don't think they have the manager for it. I don't think anyone from Sevilla, Arsenal, PSV, and Lens are going to win it.
This is going by as well with like Bayern does have a Champions League winning manager in the squad out of pure dumb luck, nonetheless. But still, yeah, I agree with you on that one.
All right, moving on to transfer deadline day tomorrow. Of course, deadline's at 12 midnight tomorrow night. Do we think, touching on the teams in the Champions League, looking at the groups, that's gonna force some of the teams to go in and actually buy players tomorrow? We'll discuss United first of all. Their group I don't think is as bad as once I seen Bayern, I was like, oh, United are kind of going to get a tough group. The rest of the group seems pretty decent for them, but still, like, we know, like obviously Luke Shaw's injured. We're touched on Reguilon signing until January. United need to go into the market and get some players, right?
I mean, I think the best thing about the Reguilon deal, whatever about Cucurella, like they can't sign him because he played last night, and FA rules is a player can't be transferred. He cannot play for a club or essentially for a club or three different clubs in a season. From him going to Chelsea to United back to Chelsea will be considered as three different clubs should United want to cancel the contract or their loan deal in January. Hence why they're going in for Reguilon. The good thing about Reguilon is that there's no fee attached. It's a free loan deal. It's a straight loan deal. So I think that will benefit United. I think Amrabat will be done now. I wouldn't be surprised by tomorrow morning we get a here we go. But I still honestly think they need to pull it out their arse in some way, shape or form, get another striker on loan. I don't care who it is at this stage now. If he comes from League One, you cannot depend on Martial. He is a disaster. Rashford, we've seen from the first two games United, he does not like playing in the centre. It nearly seems so much so that he refused to want to be there. He was always drifting to the left. Get another striker in on loan, and I would nearly get another one. I know that Johnny Evans is about to sign a 1-year contract. See if you can get a centre back on loan too, because you can't, like, if Varane is out for 4 to 6 weeks, that's going to happen 2 or 3 times in the season. Like, God forbid that Martinez gets injured. You really want to go back to Harry Maguire? Can't happen.
Like once those Champions League games start, and then the ball's rolling, you're playing every week. You're playing, we'll say, during the weekend and every weekend. It starts to add up, and then you got the Carabao Cup in between that. 3 competitions kind of that early in the season, and with United squads as kind of bare as it is, like 1, 2, like if we were discussing the other day, if Rashford gets injured, you're fucked.
I like Garnacho. Look, he had a great few games off the bench last year. First few games he's played for United, he hasn't shown the same quality. Look, it's the start of the season, but Sancho, I don't care what anyone says. I wanted him gone. The boy gives away the ball more than I've ever seen any player give. It drives me insane the amount of times he can't defend him. So I agree with you. We need to do something, but I don't know if we need a winger such. Like Anthony can play on the left. You can bring on Pellistri. Pellistri now is going to stay. When Mason Mount comes back, he can move over, or Fernandes can move over to the right hand side to accommodate Anthony. They have options on the wings, at the front of the wings. But really, I think, don't be surprised if we see United getting a loan deal for a striker. Please, not Weghorst would be ideal. I know, Adam, you have him in the back of your jersey there now. But don't be surprised if you see some random striker from some lower league club across Europe come on loan.
I think Amrabat is a definite anyway for United, because I think if you go to the Allianz Arena trying to play Casemiro, Mount and Bruno together, you'll be crucified.
Agreed.
I think you need midfield depth. Now, that's not saying Like, we should kick Mount out of the team altogether. Like, why shouldn't you not have all these quality players? If City can do it, we can all do it. Like, I think it's good to be able to switch up your midfielders depending on what type of game you're going into. And I think Amrabat suits that. Reguilon's coming. Look, it's a win-win. You're getting him for 6 months. Either he doesn't perform, we can just get rid of him, or he performs, it works out, and then we have more depth.
He's a league kind of proven player, you know, like who was the other left back you were talking about, Fernandez, or was it Fernando?
The young lad, Alvaro Fernandez.
Fernandez, yeah.
Like he obviously, you know, coming in and play Premier League, especially with Arsenal up next. You know, Reguilon is, I don't think he's great, but he's a Premier League proven player. He'd be there to stop a gap, you know what I mean? He's good going forward. I'd rate him better going forward than I did at defending.
Yeah.
So he's an interesting one, but you can definitely understand why United needed him. And yeah, for free till January, easy. Fills the gap.
I was fairly excited when I saw Tagliafico. Was when he was one of the three left backs linked at whatever a few days ago. Out of the three, Cucurella, Reguilon, and Tagliafico, I really would have liked him because like he's did very good form, but he's a savage defender. But it is what it is.
All right, just moving away from the Champions League now, we'll go back into the transfer deadline day tomorrow. Brighton, Ansu Fati from Barcelona on loan. Unreal.
He's the next Messi, apparently, as we said 3 years ago.
I've only one question about that. Why has no one else wanted him?
Well,
Why has none of the big teams wanted him?
And then he rejected Spurs.
I repeat what I said. Why did none of the big clubs want him? Like he's severely injury prone. You know what I mean? I'm sorry, to Spurs, but like
he's not good enough to play. He's probably better than Matoma, all things considered. But is he better than Rashford? Is he better than Grealish? Is he better than Martinelli? Is he better than all?
Is he better than Matoma though?
I would say so.
Yeah, it's hard. Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. The man spends half his time in the hospital. He's a leg squeezing.
He's very injury prone, but
it's a good move. It's a good move. I think it's a great move.
But United,
if it works out, it's a good move.
But looking at Brighton, you know, they haven't really shored up their defense too much. They got Van Hecke, you know, who's in my opinion not fantastic. Stupinian obviously was a great replacement for Cucurella, but they still, you know, like Lewis Dunk and Joel Veltman and Adam Webster there, like they're decent players, but they're not, you know, like once it gets to nitty gritty of like if they want to compete in the Europa League and once they're playing Europa League and Premier League and Carabao Cup, once these games start rolling around and their squad starts to get pretty stretched, yeah, going forward, we're going to have a lot of great attacking players, but the defence looks pretty slim.
Look, there's actually one thing I want to point out. It might be a bit controversial, but there's a pretty, like, De Zerbi's Brighton this season and Lucas Bielsa's Leeds are going the exact same way. They're scoring goals, but they're conceding an outrageous amount of chances every game. Yeah, and how long can they keep that up for? I honestly,
I will touch on it later, but West Ham, like destroyed them there.
Everyone was saying how good of a manager De Zerbi is, but if you ask people in Italy what to think of him, they do not rate him at all.
Yeah, I had them as my top, you know, to get 5th place in my league prediction. I think that you've made some valid points. They are buying a few attacking players. João Pedro, Ansu Fati, there's another guy as well. They got your man on loan from Chelsea, didn't they? No, I'm thinking of Forest. Sorry, no. But yeah, look,
they got in James Milner as well, actually, but he's what 36,
39, 30. No, he's older than that. He's 38.
Older anyways, but. You know, like he's a good player to have, but he's not a 90-minute player every game. You know what I mean? The legs aren't there anymore.
I think Ashmad is right. I think like when we did our predictions at the start of the season, the first 2 or 3 games have been telling. Like they can score goals, but they also concede a lot of opportunities. I was worried at the start of the season. I was petrified to come up against them. Would be played them after the international break. I'm not anymore. Really, in fairness, like, so look, we'll see how they go on this weekend, but like they probably, I think they've had 2 bids rejected for an Irish centre back from Derby or something like that, or one of the championships.
Haven't seen that.
Well, look, just talking about like business and the transfer window in general. I think West Ham. I mean, like they have been, like they got that Declan Rice money and they've bought straight killers with it. Like
Edson Alvarez, Mohamed Kudus. Who's the third guy they got? Can't remember the third guy. Top me.
The centre back, isn't it? The Greek one, no?
Yeah.
Matt was obviously known from Arsenal. He obviously wasn't good enough to get into the team, but he actually, I do remember when he started, because we had David Luiz and Mustafi at the time and Socrates as well. Like he was a good filler. Is he a starter in the Premier League? I don't know.
He's only 20 years of age when he signed for Arsenal. He got 2 years there and he shipped off. So he's got the experience. I think Harry Maguire will be kicking himself now when he's looking at the way that West Ham team is motoring, because they're like the way they blew Brighton out the water, and like that was without Kudus. Imagine when he steps into that team in behind an in-form Mikel Antonio, an in-form Bowen, and and Benrahma, with having Paquetá behind him, like West Ham.
I think there was a reason they bought Kudos, and I have a feeling it's something to do with Paquetá going away.
Oh, the betting, I think so, but we got a few weeks before that.
He's such a different player to what West Ham usually have. Like West Ham, when you think of their players, they're like a strong team. They're not very technically sound. They're a strong team. All their players, like Thomas Souček, Kufal, like even Paqueta as well. Like these boys, even Antonio, like they're all stocky lads who are like strong, like Abana,
Kazuma, yeah.
Mohamed Kudus, Edson Alvarez is a strong player, but he's more technically gifted than what Thomas Souček is. But now with Kudus, phenomenal. Like he's cleaning up. He was cleaning up at Ajax. And now I think
his last game he scored 2 goals.
I hope he does well. Yeah, I hope he does well. Man City. 2 weeks ago, Man City, we were talking about them. They needed to bring in something because their squad was looking thin. They lost Mahrez and Gundogan, Kevin De Bruyne out for 4 months. Cole Palmer just gone now as well. Doku and Mateus Nunes coming in. Do they still need more?
They do.
Don't forget about Gvardiol.
Like Gvardiol, you great look, serious centre back. He was the best young player at the last World Cup. I think Duco is a good player, but is he a straight Mahrez swap? No. The answer is unequivocal. I don't care what anyone says. It's a no. Great player. He's great potential, but it's a no. Mateus Nunes, good player, but I was surprised. I am surprised.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I remember watching.
Was it 52 or 53 million pounds for a player for Wolves who has been okay last season and hasn't been great at the start of the season.
He's a big ceiling, though. City need.
Pep Guardiola obviously sees something in him that he thinks he can work with.
We won't badmouth Pep for he's always been one to get the best out of players. So I guess we'll see. But yeah, like I said, he's a player playing for a bad Wolves team, and he didn't look overly fantastic in any sense. But we'll see how it goes. And just in today, Gravenberch to Liverpool. 40 million, I think it was. I think I heard.
Yeah, 40 million plus 5 add-ons, and that's pounds, not euros. Is
Liverpool midfield looking like supposedly like Gravenberch, McAllister? Is that a good midfield, or is that?
Yeah, I think so. It's a good young midfield. Like Gravenberch is 21 years of age. Like Szoboszlai is 22, McAllister is 24. That is most certainly, if you're on about the midfielders who have left, in Henderson, Fabinho, it is a straight swap. I think, look, don't get me wrong, I like Gravenberch. I do think he's a good player, but wasn't just Tuchel that wasn't playing, it was Nagelsmann. There must be something there that they both seen that they don't like. So, I do think he's a wonderful player. He's very good in the ball. His defensive attributes are good. He's okay going forward. His passing is okay. But he's 21 years of age. The potential is huge. Klopp likes working with younger players. He's got three new midfield that I don't think, apart from Szoboszlai, he's really hit the ground running, which I expected him to do. But I don't see it this season where the three of them will click into a world-beating midfield.
Oh yeah, it's going to take some time for that. So yeah, with the deadline coming tomorrow, a lot of teams, Arsenal, for example, they got their business done before pre-season, which is really good. Obviously there's a whole Rice saga, but they got that over the line. Havertz in, Timber, who came in but is injured now. Arsenal by this time tomorrow, they've been linked to a couple of players here and there, but nothing really concrete. What do you think they need, Adam? Do they need, looking at?
I think maybe they need some depth in some positions. I think maybe a right back. I think if they could get someone kind of just off the cusp, maybe. Because White is good, but he could get injured. Tomiyasu, I don't think is that special. I think a new right back, maybe. And dare I say, maybe even Arsenal should be going in for Amrabat. Because if Havertz isn't working, there's no plan B.
With Havertz, I don't want to see it this weekend against United. Havertz not working is fine. Like if Havertz is out with a team, Thomas Partey, Declan Rice, in the middle of the park, easy dub.
Yeah.
But if Arteta wants to stick with this experiment that he's doing with, having Partey at right back, Ben White centre back, and Saliba centre back, and then Tomiyasu would probably Tomiyasu on the left instead of Zinchenko just because he's not fit. But yeah, it's just not. We've seen over the last 3 games, it's not working.
If you want to stop me, you're gonna have to fucking kill me!
Look, there's 24 hours. There's literally 24 hours is nearly, 22 or 24. What was it now? Deadline day is 11 o'clock, so 26 hours. So I think Arsenal were lucky in a sense, although they had time to really do it. Like, they got Timber early, they got to see his worth. He got injured early on. They probably should have known that they needed to dip into the market. They should have known that Partey right back is not they've done it the first 2 games. It didn't work. So they've had a few weeks to get their assessment of a new right back. Tomiyasu, I agree with Adam. He's a decent player, but is he ever going to be a great player or world class? Probably not. I didn't see him sold by next summer, to be truthfully honest with you.
I think Tomiyasu is very good. He can play anywhere across the back four, so that's why I would keep him around. I do like him. I think one-on-one defender is very good.
But you definitely need a new right back.
Yeah, we definitely need. I think we need a defender who has that versatility that can play anywhere along the back four. Preferably, right back or centre back, kind of like another Ben White. But yeah, if we can get, like if we're looking at like Mohamed Simakan from Leipzig, who I think would be a perfect replacement or a perfect filler, anyways. So we got that. We got the Fuller and Balogun money there, 37 million, 34 million, whatever it is. So throw that into someone else. You can maybe even squeeze it out to 2 players if you want. Maybe buy in 1 player and get another player on loan. But yeah, I think we need to forward. Like, we're totally fine. Midfield forward, I think is totally fine. But yeah, that back line just needs shoring up. Definitely.
Do you think if you get him in, that young French international in, that you're at risk of when you have all your back line fit, that you're at risk of upsetting a few? Because how are you going to put in a back line of him, Timber, Gabriel, White, Saliba, Tomiyasu, Zinchenko?
Well, Zinchenko can play that midfield role, so
yeah,
I don't think he'd be at a loss. And it's always good to have that versatility, not versatility, to have that backups when you need it. Like, players want to compete for positions, and praise God, we get to the latter stages of a few competitions. If we have Premier League, FA Cup, Champions League that we're playing in consistently, it's good to have all the players.
I'm only saying it because I'm jealous of fuck that we still have Harry Maguire, that quantum club.
Oh yeah. Well, because we at the minute we do have Rob Holding, and God forbid he's not up to our standard anymore. He's been a good player, like to throw in if we're defending a lead or something, but he doesn't bring what Arteta wants him to bring. He doesn't have that ball work to him. Like, don't get me wrong, I think he'd be, if he went to a team like West Ham or an Everton, I think he'd do pretty well. Don't get me wrong. But I just don't think he's Arsenal standard anymore. So if we get him out, Tierney's obviously gone on loan. We need a defender. All right, I just want to touch on a few the transfer news that you guys are getting in just on Twitter now. Shane, you were saying Fulham put in a bid for Amrabat. Yeah,
looking on today in terms of Paulinho to Bayern Munich. I think Fabrizio said earlier on that Paulinho would only go to Bayern Munich if Fulham got their replacement. It's after the last 2 minutes ago. It seems as if though now this is going by how do you pronounce it, Di Mersey, or the Italian news outlet, sport news outlet. They after announcing that Fulham have made a 30 million offer for Amrabat. Now, that will. United have announced new round talks with Fiorentina for Amrabat. Fiorentina rejected or accepted a £17 million offer from Nottingham Forest yesterday. So if this is true about Fulham offering 30 million for Amrabat, I can see this being accepted too. So this is where it comes to. United need to get their finger out their hole and get it done.
Now that Fulham have put in that money, are Fiorentina going to turn around and be like, hey, like this club wants 30 million, are you going to match that?
Yeah.
And a little bit more there. It's like kind of exactly what Fiorentina want.
I don't think so, because Fiorentina president has come out and said if he wants to leave, we'll make it happen. And I think he only wants to go to United. So I think United do have a bargaining chip that he's either going to come to us or he's just not going to play.
But at the same time, if he's like, oh, I can make 17 million or I can make 30 million.
But
be like, oh well. But he's at United.
Now it was 30 million. It was 30 million euros, which will be about 24 million euros. And if you're going by the Nottingham Forest, was 17 up front plus add-ons, which probably went to 7. So it's probably all in around the same market. You know,
I could see United going in with probably like 20 plus add-ons. I'd say. I think I'd say we'll get him next 24 hours. I'd say we'll have him. I think he's been looking for us for too long. I think it would make sense.
Now, I know we touched on United with transfers and stuff, like, and you were saying it's been going on. You know, Amrabat has said that he wants United for a long time. Why have United just not been like, here's the money, get him in? It's already the 3rd game of the season. We're approaching the 4th game of the season. Like, why have United just been hemming and hawing over the likes of a few quid here? Like, I say a few quid, obviously a few million, but in the grand scheme of transfers nowadays, you know, we've seen it with United and we've seen it at Arsenal in the past as well, haggling over the sake of 5-10 million. When you're already willing to spend, you know,
it's the story that we've been hearing all summer stuff. FFP.
Yeah.
We need to have outgoings for ingoings, etc. We've made
Chelsea's buying left, right, and centre. You know what I mean? Like how is a team like Chelsea?
But Chelsea have sold nearly 200 million plus worth of players, though. All the same.
They're in value. Hence why there's so Simon Jordan from Talksport explained it there, and I won't be able to explain the detail he did, but essentially what he was saying is that putting in players on long contracts, they can elongate the value of their spending. So if they spend 600 million and have them over the course of 8 years, that is essentially a spend of 75 million a year. They've sold their players for 200 million, that is straight income value. So he was explaining, I think it was before the Lavia deal, that actually by right they're in lieu of 50 million or 65 million spent. So they had that new. So they've managed to, Todd Bowley has managed to, without a better use of the word, ride the system to his benefit and exploit it to his benefit. Now, there'll be, look, there's a serious bang coming around the corner from them. I don't care what anyone says it's coming, but for the most part, that's how they're doing it. United's problem is they're in sale, so they're in transition of a sale. They have financial problems because they're over 800 million in debt. They haven't sold enough players as well. They do have a huge wage budget. Cristiano Ronaldo's wages for the year and a half that he's there, like they had to forward pay him, and then on top of that as well, they had to back pay other staff or whatever it was to accommodate Ronaldo. That is also jumped into effect. The other thing that people forget is last year's transfer. When we bought Martinez, Anthony, and Casemiro, it was said by Richard Arnold and whoever that their spending this summer is going to affect this year's essentially transfer budget. So this is already foreseen last summer by the hierarchy. Well, my only thing is we had 150 million to spend by right in terms of upfront payments. We didn't spend the 150 million on Mount Onana and Højlund. There was still a few million left in the bank. We sold Fred, Henderson, Elanga. like we made in that sense upfront payments about 30 million. So I agree with you. Why haven't they just paid the money upfront?
There is some money there,
There's money to pay. So it's a strange one.
Well, no, but like at the same time, like a good club like that has a good board and good negotiators, good with transfers, doesn't pay 70 for Hoyland, doesn't pay 60 for
Great.
Mount. Like it's not the player's fault that we can't negotiate. Like we could have got Anthony for 50. We fucked around. We waited 3 months. We ended up paying 80. Like
and that's exactly on that. Like Ajax quoted United 55 million euros in June. Euros.
Yeah.
Like
in June.
Like
come August, the last few days, it went to 90 million euros.
Yeah, because desperation kicks in.
Desperation kicks in.
There you go. Yeah.
Like, it's just like if you like this,
the group the other day as well. Like, you know what, Fiorentina turned around and be like, yeah, he wants E, but at the same time you're desperate, so give us 30 million.
I think it'll get done. But it's definitely going to be more than United thought they'd initially be paying. Especially now the fact that Nottingham Forest had a bid accepted, and if it's true about Fulham that they have made a bid of 30 million euro, you can be sure as damn the Florentine are saying pony up, or he's going to Fulham.
Yeah, but then again, like
if he does,
like if Amrabat ultimately gets the choice, like if United come to Fulham, like he's not going to pick Forest. He's not going.
No,
to pick
it's true. That is true. He
he
rejected Forest.
All right, so moving forward, we're going to touch on last week's Premier League action. I think first up we're going to talk about Newcastle's collapse, if you want to call it, against Liverpool. They were looking good for so long, and then Darwin Núñez coming in and snatching it for Liverpool. What went wrong for Newcastle? They were a man up for a majority of that game.
Yeah, look, I think substitutions. I mean, Tonali was running the show and they brought him on for Sean Longstaff. Like, there's just substitutions like that, like decisions like that.
You
like,
deserve to lose if you're doing that.
Yeah. Like, Liverpool were lucky. Like, let's not put it down to some sort of masterclass. Like, they were very lucky.
Yeah.
They were lucky not to concede 2, 3, 4.
Yeah, like that's it.
They're lucky not to be down to nine men too. Like going back on whatever about taking off Tonali, who's absolutely far surpassed my expectations so far under Newcastle shirt. But Anthony Gordon had Trent Alexander-Arnold in not even his pocket. The pocket for his jeans less in the dressing room.
Yeah,
like he was destroying him. Like Trent should have been sent off. Like let's not beat around the bush here now.
100%.
What happened was a red card. Like it was as simple as that.
Coming up, and Dermot Gallagher, who does Ref Watch on Sky Sports, he was saying should have been. He said Trent was unfortunate because he was fouled. Gordon fouled him before Trent threw the ball away. That was a yellow card, but that's still a yellow card. He's still on the yellow card, regardless. The second foul he commits, 100% foul. Tammy Asa got sent off for it. Why isn't Trent sent off?
Yeah,
but he was saying should have been. The ref got it wrong twice, but that's Premier League refereeing. Arsenal, this experiment with Kai Havertz, it's
not working.
No, it's not working. Thomas Partey is non-existent at right back. You've seen the first goal we conceded against Fulham. We have Ben White was in the right back position, but Thomas Partey had moved in midfield, so we had Saliba, who was left centre back, who was miles away. Yes, mistake by Saka, sloppy ball, and Pereira's in behind, and Ramsdale should do better, but there's no need for Arsenal to be playing this way. Like Arteta, there's no need to it. There's no need to be clever or anything. We had a winning formula last season, and now he's just to kind of justify bringing in Kai Havertz. He's right.
And he's forcing himself to play him. He's probably and he's playing him in the midfield too, which is mad. Yeah, he's an attacking player. He was a centre attacking forward player for Bayer Leverkusen. He essentially played as a striker. He hasn't played in the midfield area probably, and if he has, it would have been in the under 20s or under 21s or the youth system.
Here's Maddison under Ange Postecoglou.
He was born to play for Tottenham, wasn't he? Like he just looks good. Like whatever about the Tottenham kit as well, the all white. Like it really does it for me. But James Maddison,
I would say he was probably sick that Harry Kane left because
or Harry Kane sick that he came.
Fantastic link up.
I like Ange.
I'm lying in my bed, thoughts running through my head. Pochettino is dead. I'm loving big and distant, and through it all, we play the way we want to, with big and frosty cold blue.
I have to say,
I good time for him. I think he's a real down to earth.
he's a brilliant manager.
Yeah.
I think James Maddison is. Well, what's he got? 3 or 4 assists now, or 1 goal and 3 assists.
1 goal, 3 assists.
Like,
yeah.
Like
and they
that.
have Harrison up front now. Come on.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, like exactly. So I think. Yeah, like we all knew Maddison. He was getting double figures in assists and goals for Leicester. Like let's be real now.
Yeah.
He's gonna do it for Liverpool, or he's gonna do it for Tottenham.
People will go on about how good Maddison is, but Basuma, I think, is so.
He's been unreal.
Sarr as well. It's like Sarr has come out of nowhere really for Tottenham. Like they seem like a rejuvenated team, but I think the back forward still needs to be adjusted. Like Udogie looks good. Pedro Porro I like. Fucking what's his name? Christian Romero. He's very raw, but he's still pretty young. Get rid of Eric Dyer and get in a good centre back like Mickey Van de Ven that we were saying. I think they're in the right. They're going the right direction under. I just need they need a striker. They need that Harry Kane replacement. Richarlison is dog water. Like.
He's so bad.
They haven't gone in for anyone. Like they have 100 million there to spend. Like.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, like just.
I think they might be waiting off for Ivan Toney. I think they're waiting.
I agree. I think as soon as that January transfer window comes in, like it's 70 million, there you go. We'll take him.
Easy. Another player that's improving under a new manager is Raheem Sterling.
Yeah.
I think he's definitely showing glimpses of his time at Man City. You said it earlier on. I suppose every Chelsea player last season had a bad season because in general they were just all piss poor. Yeah. So like he's like the Gusto, the link between him and Gusto seems to be working.
Phenomenal, yeah.
Like
Gusto's playing very well. Like when Reece James comes back, like it'll be hard to kick Gusto off the team.
Yeah, if Gusto and Sterling have that relationship this weekend against Nottingham Forest as they did last weekend, and then when after the international back, even though I think Reece James is back, like I know Reece James is captain, but he's got legs made of Weetabix.
There you go.
And he probably shouldn't be made captain. I was very surprised it was Chilwell or Thiago Silva. But look. Yeah, Sterling is just showing like it's the confidence in him to take on players that was missing since his time in City. Because every time after you scored the first goal the last day, I thought, okay, I wasn't watching it very much. I had it on the TV because they were playing the whole game, and after he scored the first goal and then he took on a player, I stopped and was kind of thinking, oh, hold on now. And then I just put down the phone and I watched it for a few seconds. And Sterling, it looked like he was 21-year-old Sterling for Liverpool attacking. It was unbelievable. So, look, again, Poch, he's a great manager. I don't think Chelsea are going to be top 4, but I do think Sterling is going to. But if Sterling keeps this form up, like he's going to have an outstanding season.
Just touching on the Chelsea game last weekend, Luton, Adam, they're in big trouble.
Yeah, look, foregone conclusion. I mean, you might as well be telling me water's blue. Like, we knew this was going to happen. Like, it's not their fault. Like, it's great to see them in it. Like, they're trying. I think they'll beat one of the top 6. I think they'll give a shock to someone in the league. I think
it happens every season.
Yeah, they'll be the height of it, right?
I think that points record, though.
Yeah, are they going? Are they beating it?
I think so, yeah.
I think so too. They've just signed Teden Menji, who's probably regretting that decision. But he's a former United player, isn't he? He is a player. They signed him from
as well.
They're just not
players. Yeah,
they just don't have the they're playing it kind of smart though because they're starting to build. They're building a team that can go down.
But do you think like they obviously don't want to get. They don't want to have that record against them, being the worst team in the league ever. But for a team like Luton to go down, they'll still get quite a lot of £1 million from going down. Like I said, like they can rebuild. They're rebuilding the stadium, which is good for the club. Obviously, they'll get money to reinvest in that club to actually build it up properly, to be a staple in the Championship and be competing for playoffs every season. Like it's not. I don't think it's the end of the world for them to go down. Yeah,
No,
I think
I-
most
I-
fans can be realistic.
I think they knew what was coming at the start of the season. I think if you probably asked every Luton fan, I don't know where they are. Probably who knows they even exist.
Did
Uh,
you?
Yeah, just
Good town, yeah.
they're
Yeah.
just
I think Dan has made a good point. Like they
Luton
definitely
boys.
are. They knew they were getting them. Hence why they're not making any big money signings. Like the likes of Burnley and Sheffield United, well maybe not so much Sheffield United, but any kind of new team that comes up. Nottingham Forest last year, for example, they came up and they spent millions to kind of improve their squad. Luton are probably have taken that money and said, listen lads, this is the way we're going to do it. We're going to build a new infrastructure. We're going to build a new training ground with that 100 million. Build a new fucking walkway into the stadium. Get rid of the houses around the stadium so it can be this, that, there, and the other. Knowing that they're going to go down, but they're going to do it in such a way that they'll try get straight back up to the Premier League, and then they'll get the ball rolling.
But there's going down, and then there's
Being
going. Yeah, like you don't want to be smacked every week. You want to have something to remember. Like
The orange hurts my eyes.
All right, so looking forward to this weekend's action. Tomorrow, Friday, we have Luton at home to West Ham. Oisin?
West Ham, I think, obliterate them.
Adam?
West Ham.
West Ham. And then Saturday morning, we have Sheffield United at home to Everton. Oisin?
I think Everton. I saw that Beto guy. I think Everton will do it.
I think a draw.
Yeah, draw. Yeah.
Sheffield, I think Sheffield might give them a bit of something.
I think Sheffield might win that. Brentford, Bournemouth.
Brentford.
Draw.
I think draw too, yeah. Burnley, Tottenham.
Spurs, definitely.
I think Spurs.
Who's home?
Burnley.
No, I think Spurs.
No, Spurs. Yeah, I think Spurs.
I think Spurs, yeah. I think Spurs probably have too much. Chelsea, Forest.
Chelsea.
I
think Forest will lead the game, and then they'll be
yeah.
like,
I think a draw. I don't know. I think draw in that game. City, Fulham.
Fulham are at home.
No, City at home.
City.
City.
Yeah, City. And then big one for tomorrow: Brighton, Newcastle.
I think both teams are capable of beating any team in the league, but both teams have lost quite heavy defeats. One being a 3-1, the other being a disastrous 2-1 after being 1-0 up the whole game against 10 men. So I think Newcastle, on the basis that they have a lot to make up for. They've lost the last two games, so I'm going to say Newcastle.
I can't call it, but I think one of them is getting hammered. I think whoever wins is going to obliterate the other.
I think Brighton are getting hammered. Yeah, I think, like we were saying before, like Brighton have conceded a lot of chances. I think Newcastle could probably put 4 or 5 past them. All right, and looking forward to Sunday's action, we have Crystal Palace at home to Wolves. Oisin?
Palace will have too much for them.
Adam?
I think Wolves.
I think Palace. I think Palace at home are a good team. Then we have Liverpool, Villa.
Villa.
Tough game.
Yeah, I think Unai Emery is cooking up something. for
Yeah,
them.
he's doing something naughty there now. So
They'll win, yeah.
yeah.
And then the big one of the weekend, Arsenal at home to United.
Well, I'm going to ask you a question on this one.
Right.
Do you think Arteta is going to play the backline of Partey, White, Saliba, and Tomiyasu?
I hope not.
To accommodate. Hope not. Hope not. Fuck the hope nots. Do you think yes or no he's going to play it?
Yes.
Well, then we will win. I guarantee you, we will have a field day. I have a feeling, not to be too disingenuous, but apart from fuck Arsenal and this one, I think you've played 3 games in that formation as such, or 2 games at least. For you to go back to the old last year's formation is nearly as drastic as keeping the one you have. because you haven't played it for a while. Now, that's not to say that they played for 9 months in the formation, but
We played it against City in the Community Shield, and it was Urian Timber on left back, and that served us well. Like, I don't see why he would. Like, international break coming up, the experiment, just go back to what works for us, play that for this game, and then work on it more over the international break. Like, play a few behind the door friendlies with whatever players you have. Really work on that. I agree. If we play that formation, like, we're gonna get ripped apart. We'll get ripped apart.
I think
not that Rice is a bad player, but him and just in that lone pivot by himself, like, it's tough. Especially against a team like United, like someone like Bruno. Like, Bruno will go, like, he's kind of like Odegaard. He'll walk, everywhere on the pitch, and if Rice is off defending him, then what happens then? Partey goes into centre mid. Then we've no right back.
And you get Rashford. Then we'll
think, and then Rashford's in. But, like, I just don't think
there's also a big 6'4" Danish man that's something at the bit to get rid.
If Saliba can do a job on him, and
there's also
hasn't played in the Premier League. Like, Saliba's like one of the best defenders in world football. So
you said that last year when we had a debutant pulling up.
We should have won that. We should have won that.
I think Amrabat, if he signs by early tomorrow, I think he plays on Sunday.
I think he's
like Casemiro.
Too, yeah.
I think
is out. They're out. So
I think.
And Hoyland won't start, but I think he'll fucking dog that other dopey prick Martial at the start. Let's call a spade a spade. He's fucking useless.
Yeah, fair. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah.
Like,
this is an opinion show. That's fine.
Yeah. So Anthony. Listen, it's a great game regardless. Arsenal at home, we haven't beaten them home in years. I think if you play that formation like you played the last two games, I have way more confidence than I would do than not. Yeah. But Arsenal are a great team, and then they've showed it last year. We on top of that too, our away form is diabolical against the top six, is even with top 10. So it's kind of one of those games where it's for United, it's a make or break to get rid of that rush of away games, but also Arsenal, due to the fact that they threw it away Fulham, they haven't been a great team. They haven't looked the team of last year too.
Yeah.
So and United haven't been great looking either. Let's be fair. So they nearly gave up. They nearly lost the game in the first 10 minutes against Nottingham Forest. Mm-hmm. So look.
What's the score?
If you play that formation, 2-0. If you play that formation.
Look, I think United and Arsenal, you're always getting fireworks. There's always a game.
Goes out the window. I think, it comes down to the formation, but like we haven't been great to start the season. United haven't been great, but that goes out the window. Like, it goes.
Well, we weren't great at the start of last season, though. Like, I think when it comes to United and Arsenal, I think I could see being us just because it's Emirates, because it seems like there always Arsenal win the Emirates, United win Old Trafford. There's never anything else.
It's always back and forth.
The same thing every time.
Yeah.
But a draw. I think a 2-2 draw. I could see it be exceptionally high scoring, like last year's game.
Yeah, I'd like to. I'd take a 2-2 draw.
I would think a draw for Arsenal is disappointing. I think a draw for United is a good draw.
I think going away to any of the top six and getting a draw.
There you go. Yeah.
We should have bet Spurs. We were unlucky. Like, we were very unlucky. If we finished chances, we could have had Spurs put away in the first half.
Yeah.
If we can do that again and put away the chances this time.
Yeah, this is it. We'll get the chances. It's about putting them away this time.
Yeah, we've been giving away a lot of chances this season. So United will get a lot of chances to put them away. And
it's just if we
just praise God that he plays a formation that works so well for us. Like, all the players are used to it. Like, it's not as if Declan Rice comes in and changes the whole lot of it. Like, he's playing that Xhaka role just with a bit more technical ability about him and a bit more disciplined. But I
think for United, where it's won and lost, I don't like him, but I think McTominay has to start on Sunday. Eriksen is a passenger.
Eriksen, I don't really know what his position is anymore. Like, he was never that centre mid before. Like, I never seen him.
If you have McTominay, you have two big midfielders. McTominay, he'll break up players. Like, he'll bring him what he wants. Put him beside Casemiro. Let Bruno just run the show.
Well, no.
You know he will. And then
Hence why I think Amrabat will walk straight in that team on Sunday if he signs
Just
for early
do it.
Friday.
to do with the Amrabat again, United are set to negotiate Amrabat. Fulham are not involved in the race at this stage from Fabrizio.
Yeah. So that's it.
And that'll do it for another episode of the Horny Football Podcast. Thank you all for tuning in. Just please make sure and like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments your thoughts on what has gone on this week in Premier League.